And the proof of the pudding is you can see a lot of sharp edges. Next time you're here, it'll all be smooth. Don't worry about it.
You'll finish it off.
I do want to welcome you. The first thing I'd like to do is ask everybody in our group to find a chair.
Come over to
Special?
Ron, do you want me to tape the whole thing start to finish? Right.
Okay.
Ben, you can sit here.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. I'd like you to do the almost impossible, and for the next 37 seconds on my watch, I'm going to ask everybody not to move, not to take any pictures. That includes the photographers for the next. And the proof of the pudding is you can see a lot of sharp edges. Next time you're here, it'll all be smooth. Don't worry about it.
You'll finish it off.
I do want to welcome you. First thing I'd like to do is ask everybody in our group to find a chair.
Special?
Yes. Right? Isn't that amazing? I do this all the time with groups that I bring here, and every time I go through the same, and I love it. It's wonderful. It's cleansing. It's centering. It's superb. Now, according to our tradition, God gave the Torah in the desert. Why do you think? Why did God give this sacred text here in the desert? And any answer is a good answer. What do you think? Anybody want to hazard a guess?
Was it a reward after the Jews went through the desert when they left Egypt?
Fantastic answer. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Why did God choose to give the Torah in the desert? I had
Quiet, and he could put it. No, I'm stumped. I don't know.
stumped. Is that the answer?
It's so quiet.
Because it's
You're the
quiet.
voice of God.
Excellent.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay. I had one person who said, well, Rabbi, that's where we were, so it made sense.
No, I think also that this is the only thing what they have to do. What they can do. No theater, no movies, nothing.
No computer.
No computer, just get the Torah.
Excellent. Now I'll add something to that. There are a couple of Israelis here, so you probably know the word hefker. Hefker means something that has no owner. In ancient times, the desert itself was hefker. It means there was no real owner. Anybody could go into the desert and live there. It was available. In the same way, there is no particular owner to this book. Just because I'm a rabbi does not make me the owner of this, any more than you or you or you. It doesn't matter if you were born Jewish or converted to being Jewish. Doesn't matter if you've been alien. Now, how about if you say the blessing after me? Okay? You ready? Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Kiddushanu B'mitzvotav V'tzivanu Lehit'atef Batzitzit. Kiss twice and put it around your shoulders like a shawl. Very good. Okay. Very good. Okay. So. Right. Page what? Who's reading?
Brian was doing it.
Right, go ahead. The booklet, that would help.
Do you think that the words of prayer every time go up to God? It is not the words themselves that are said. It is rather the burning desire of your heart that rises like smoke towards you. If your prayer consists only of words and letters, it does not contain your heart's desire. How can it rise up to God?
Thank you. Now, who here can tell me something about Anne Frank? Anybody? What do you know about Anne Frank? Yes. And what happened to her? She was caught and she put together. Fortunately, we have her diary, and we're going to have a selection from that diary. Who's reading that? Okay, Benny.
It's really a wonder that I haven't dropped all my ideals because they seem so absurd and impossible to carry out. Yet I keep them because in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. I simply can't build up my hopes on a foundation consisting of confusion, misery, and death. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness. I hear the ever-approaching thunder will destroy us too. I can feel the sufferings of millions, and yet, if I look up into the heavens, I think we will all come out all right. Cruelty too will end up, and that peace and tranquility will return again. In the meantime, I must uphold my ideals, for perhaps the time will come when I shall be able to carry them out.
Thank you. Please join with me, if you know the melody, to Hinei Matov. Hinei Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov, Hinei Matov. Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai. Hinei Matov, Hinei Matov. Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai. Hinei matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. How about the name Abraham Joshua Heschel? You already know that name? Yeah, excellent. A philosopher of the 20th century. Remember that century? Right? He was a philosopher who was born in pre-World War II Europe. He was recognized as a genius. He became a rabbi, an Orthodox rabbi, steeped in Jewish tradition. He also achieved a doctorate in the Bible at local university. He was then smuggled out of Europe by the Reform movement. Came to North America. After a brief period of time, decided his proper place was with the conservative movement in North America. He went to New York, trained generations of rabbis. I want to tell you a story about him before we read what he wrote. He said as follows. There was an ad in a local Jewish newspaper. The ad said as follows. Buy only kosher. What would come next? What word? Meat. Right? That's the thing that jumps to our mind. That's not what the ad said. It said buy only kosher lettuce. Lettuce. At the bottom of the ad was signed A.J. Heschel. One of his students saw the ad and called him up and said, Rabbi Heschel, what does this mean? Now here comes the punchline. This is what Heschel said. He said it all depends on how much they pay the pickers of the lettuce. If they're paying them at least minimum wage, it's kosher lettuce. If they're not paying them at least minimum wage, the amount that you have to pay them by law, it's not kosher. Don't buy it. Don't eat it. Isn't that a great story? Yeah. Taking Jewish law, halakha, and Jewish values, and saying they really are connected. They're one and the same. Okay. So we're now going to read a selection from Heschel, and
Okay, so we're going to have Dave and Nicole do this.
okay, as a responsive
duet?
reading back and
Thank you.
forth.
A duet.
Okay, go ahead.
Land is a text. Here you are illiterate unless you remember words of Scripture. It is a land where the Bible is at home.
This tiny corner is the spot where the most sublime moments of encounter between God and our people took place, where the most precious visions were born.
We must seek to understand Israel reborn in the light of history. From the perspective of time, it is a land where not a spot is visible that is not reflecting an event, a moment. Just to be in the land is a religious experience.
It is a country where a full Jewish life can be lived in accord with tradition and conscience, where the Sabbath fills the streets, not only the homes, where the language is Hebrew.
Eretz Yisrael is a prelude in anticipation. This is part of our exaltation to witness the birth of the land of the Bible. The land that was dead for nearly 2,000 years is now a land that sings.
Lovely. Nicole, thank you. Lovely. Okay, pilgrims. Did you just call us pilgrims?
We are.
Well, yeah. I call you pilgrims because you are. What is a pilgrim? What's a pilgrim?
Someone that makes a trip back to a
for a
place of
religious reason, right? Someone who goes on a religious quest is a pilgrim, a mission. And that's what you have done. That's what the Greens and the Kavinskis have done, coming here for Ben and Ryan's bar mitzvah in Israel. You are pilgrims. Now, why is that significant? Because in classic terms, in ancient times, there were pilgrimage festivals. Jews would come from all over the world, and I mean all over, to the temple where they would sacrifice and read psalms. 3 times a year they did. And they would say the following psalm that we're going to read together.
I want to ask you something. People who are coming from Haifa to this bar mitzvah, they are not pilgrims?
They are. They're
We are
all
also
pilgrims.
pilgrims.
They're all pilgrims. So let's have, who's going to be reading that for us?
The top of page 3?
Yes.
Stuart.
Stuart.
I rejoiced when they said to me, "We are going to the house of the Eternal." Our feet stood inside your gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem built up, a city knit together, to which tribes would make pilgrimage, the tribes of the Eternal, as was enjoined upon Israel, to praise the name of the Eternal. There the thrones of judgment stood, thrones of the house of David. Pray for the well-being of Jerusalem. May those who love you be at peace. May there be well-being within your ramparts, peace in your citadels. For the sake of my kin and friends, I pray for your well-being. For the sake of the house of the Eternal, our God, I seek your good.
Thank you very, very much. Now, if I ask you to explain to me the following word, Mishnah. Anybody know the word Mishnah in Hebrew? I'll give you an explanation of what it is, because we're about to read a Mishnah. If I were on a desert island someplace, and all I had was the Torah scroll, and let's say an English translation, and I'm reading in there, and I'm reading, and it says at one point, honor your father and mother. And I go, wow, I like that. I'm going to honor my mom and dad because it says to do that in the Torah. Then I start to ask myself questions. What does it mean to honor them? How do I honor them? Where do I honor them? How often? I don't know the answer. So a group of Jewish men sat down for 500 years. And they wrote a commentary, I like to call it a user's guide, to the Torah. That's called the Mishnah. It collects all the rules, all the laws from different parts of the Torah and makes them organized. But guess what? That wasn't really enough. Another group of Jewish men sat down for 400 years and they wrote a commentary on the Mishnah called the Gemara. But guess what? That wasn't enough either. And you get the idea. The process continued and continues until this very day, with one primary difference. I said Jewish men for 500 years and Jewish men for 400 years. That has changed. Today it is Jewish men and Jewish women who sit and write commentary on Torah, on Mishnah, on all of our classical texts. From my perspective, that is perhaps the greatest change in the way we Jews celebrate our Jewishness that has happened in the past decades, opening up the possibility for study for women and men equally. So, with all that in mind, we're going to read a Mishnah. It begins, these are duties. And who's reading that? All right.
These are duties whose worth cannot be measured. Honoring one's father and mother. Acts of love and kindness. Diligent pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. Hospitality to strangers. Visiting the sick. Celebrating with bride and groom. Consoling the bereaved. Praying with sincerity. And making peace where there is strife. And the study of Torah leads to them all.
Fantastic. Just say the last line again.
And the study of Torah leads to them all.
It is our firm belief, guys, that the study of this text leads to all those wonderful behaviors and character traits. Okay, one of my favorite parts of the service. I'm going to ask you now to get this finger ready. Everybody get it ready. Don't look at your neighbor. Don't look. Ready? Point to Jerusalem now.
You're good.
Guys, it's not a good idea to follow again.
All right,
You should
put
have
your
been in
heads
Washington.
down. Put your hands down.
Hey, I was pretty close with speaker.
If anybody went like that, no.
You're good.
It's here, it's here.
Good. I like that.
That's very good, Gil.
You got to remember that one.
That way is Egypt. That way is Jordan. That way is the Mediterranean. And those of you who went pretty much that way, you got it right.
I went that way.
Okay?
Roger.
That's close. Pretty close.
Follow
Now, why do we need to know
2
that?
degrees.
Why do we need to always know where Jerusalem is?
Are you supposed to pray towards
Yeah.
Jerusalem?
There are set times in our prayers that we stand and face Jerusalem. This is one. Please rise. The middle of page 3. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or uboreh choshen עושה שלום ובורא את הכל המאיר לארץ ולעדרים עליה ברחמים ובטובו מחדש בכל יום תמיד מעשה בראשית מה רבו מעשיך אדוני כולה בחוכמה עשית מה ראה הארץ קנייניך יתברך אדוני אלוהינו על שבח מעשה ידיך והמאורי אור שעשית יפעלוך הסלע ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. Please all be seated. Revelation. Can you give that one out?
Yes, it's going to go Jess, Leah, Jack, Luke.
Okay, good for you.
What?
This thing's full participation.
Oh, yes.
Deep is the love. Where am I?
That's right.
Revelation.
Wait, what are we doing?
Page 3, right?
Page 3. Deep is your love. Jess is first, Leah, Jack, and Luke.
Deep is your love for us, abiding your compassion. From of old we have put our trust in you, and you have taught us the laws of life. Be gracious now to us that we may understand and fulfill the teachings of your word.
Enlighten our eyes in your Torah, that we may cling to your mitzvot. Unite our hearts to love and revere your name. We trust you and rejoice in your saving power. For you are the source of our help. You have called us and drawn us near to you in faithfulness.
Who's now? Luke?
Yeah.
Joyful we lift up your voices and proclaim your unity. O God, in love you have called us to your service.
Fantastic.
All right, Luke.
Nice job, Luke.
Good job.
That was great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, those of us who are wearing a talit, please gather the 4 corners in your left hand, and I'd like to explain why. Okay, we gather the corners for 2 reasons. First of all, our Israelis know the word gematria.
Yeah.
Okay, gematria in English we would call numerology. Every letter of the Hebrew alphabet has a number of value. Aleph is 1. How much is Bet?
2.
Gimel?
3.
I'm going to jump now. Yud?
10.
Good. Take my word for it that if we add up Tzadi Yud, Taf, Tzitzit, we get 600. Then if we add 8 strings and 5 knots, 600 plus 8 plus 5 is how much? 613. Now why is that number important? Mitzvot? Yes. Excellent. 613 is the number of mitzvot in the Torah. So when we gather up our tzitziot, we're reminding ourselves of the centrality of Torah. That's one reason. Second one, in general cultural terms, fill in the following. The 4 corners of the earth. It is our prayer that the Jewish people be gathered from the 4 corners of the earth. Where?
Jerusalem?
Yeah, it doesn't have. Tel Aviv is good, right? Jerusalem is just fine. Arad, you choose it. It's a prayer for the ingathering of the Jewish people from wherever to Israel. Now, just in case there's somebody here who won't be making Aliyah by the end of the week, okay? Just in case, I want to add to that a little prayer and a suggestion that each of our adults here remember to explain over and over again to our youngest people who are here the significance, the importance of keeping this land of Israel strong and free. I know, and so do most of you, what it was like before there was a state of Israel, and how important it is that we maintain this land sovereign, free, and strong. So with all that in mind, I'm going to ask, guys, would you lead the Shema together with me? And we're going to close our eyes as we do this. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai V'ahavta et Adonaicha b'chol levaha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi etzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shirantam levanecha v'divartam bam v'shivtecha v'beitecha u'votecha v'aderech Upshartecha kumecha, upshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotachot beinenecha. Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Fantastic. We kiss the tzitziot and release them, and we now turn to the bottom of page 4. Ask everybody to rise. I'm going to sing the last paragraph and then the beginning of the Amidah, which is on page 5. Please, everybody, page 2 and 4. Shor Yisrael, Kuma B'ezrat Yisrael, Uvdei Chinumecha Yehuda v'Yisrael, Go'aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Shedosh Yisrael, Baruch Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Page 5. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Eloheinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא העליון שומר חסדים טובים וקונה הכל זוכר חסדי אבות וגואל בני בניהם למען שמו באהבה וחוזר מושיע מגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם אתה גיבור עולם אדוני בחיים משימות עליו להושיע משיב הרוח ומוליד הגשם מפרגל חיים בחסד בחיים מתים ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומציל אסורים ובקיים אמונתו לשחר מלחמו כבה גבורות ובדום אליו מלך ויצמחיים מצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני לחיי המתים. I'm going to ask everybody to stay standing for just another half a minute to offer whatever prayer is in your hearts, whatever prayer of thank you, of thanksgiving, of gratitude, for coming together as families, with friends, to be able to celebrate here. The plan has come together. And I thank you. Just take half a minute. Please all be seated. We turn now to page 7. Oh, fill our minds. Did we assign that one? Bob and Sandy it is. Sandy says, what, me?
Where are we?
Go ahead.
Oh, fill our minds with knowledge and our hearts with wisdom.
Praise be the mind that unifies all creation.
Remind us of the best that is in us.
Praise be the will that gives us power to choose our way.
Help us to feel the anguish of the afflicted and oppressed.
Praise be the heart that inspires in us a vision of justice and love.
Make us bring knowledge and skill to help the infirm.
Praise be the power that brings healing to the sick.
Teach us to stand in awe before the mystery of being.
Praise be the one who is present in the miracle of prayers.
I think we said the piece we will all read together. Good. The middle of page 7, all together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift,
O eternal source of peace. Give us the will to proclaim His message to all the peoples of earth. Bless our country, that it may always be a stronghold of peace and its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within its homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship among the inhabitants of all lands. And may the love of your name be power in every heart. We praise you, O God, the source of peace.
Please join with me, the bottom of the page.
Shalom b'romav, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yu amen. U'yaseh shalom b'romav, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'yu amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Way up high.
Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Amen. Please turn to page 8 as we get ready for the centerpiece of our service. The guys are going to come up for an aliyah. That's page 8. And we read all together, assembled. Assembled at mountain, our people,
still bent from oppression, found you, found your Torah, found your truth, and embraced the destiny that has shaped the world. Help us still shape the world according to your will. Help us to teach and to learn, to hear your word, and to find in our path goodness and truth.
Please all rise. ויאמר משה קומה אדוני ויפוצו אויביך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי מציון תצא תורה כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים ברוך שנתן תורה תורה ברוך שנתן תורה תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. Now just a moment, I'm going to ask one of you to walk around with the Torah so that everybody can come over and kiss it. And then when we put the Torah away, the other one will walk with it. So who wants to lead off? You got it.
Luke wants to do it.
One over here. Just walk around. Kadosh, ki kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu. Before we get seated, I'd like to have two sets of parents come up here. Okay, the two of you with your son, and...
Where is Nicole?
Yeah.
freezing.
Because what I'd like to do is a chain of tradition. I'm going to ask that each of you take hold on, and in the same way that you were given the Torah, for you to pass it along to your son. Take it on your right side, and I have a serious question for you. In the same way that your parents provided so that you would feel a part of the tradition and become bar mitzvah, do you take upon yourself, and God willing, when you have children, that you will do the same thing for them? Yes. That's the right answer. Good for you.
Somebody get that on film.
Guys, same thing. Hold it, both of you together. In the same way that your parents provided you with a tradition, a framework, and saw to it that you would have a Jewish tradition, and you now pass along to your son the full sense of what it means to be a Jewish adult. You take upon yourself that when the time is right, and you have your own children, that you will continue the tradition and see to it that they too are bar mitzvah? Yes. Mazal tov to you. Good. Everybody, please be seated.
It's nice.
Very nice. Good. I have some muscles now.
Let's see if I can create some other stuff.
Okay.
No, not you. You're working. You know, he said, a nation without tradition, it don't have to be Jews.
Okay, now, we're going to have each of you guys have a Torah. Are you going to read the Torah, or am I reading on your behalf?
You're reading.
I'm reading on your behalf. I'm delighted to be your emissary.
The right way.
You'll have I'm wondering, would the parents like to have, would you and your wife like to have your own aliyah also?
Sure.
Okay, and likewise,
Sure.
did you guys call you up also for an aliyah? Okay, so let's start with you and your wife.
Nicole, we're back up.
Nicole, you back up.
Tell me your Hebrew names. Yamod.
Shalom Reuven.
Shalom Reuven. Your parents' names? Ben David, the Florence, Ben Nicole. Do you know your Hebrew name? Netanya. Bat. Parents' names? Bob and Sandy. Lelia Rishona. Guys, like your touch. Use your talit to touch right here. And then each of you kiss. Kiss. No, I didn't mean that.
This is nice. This is nice.
Wait, what did he just do?
Was that on film? Was that on film?
What did he do?
No. Good instincts. Good instincts.
That was classic.
That's never happened before?
No.
But look,
It's wonderful.
it's simple something. Take it in the serious stuff. He preferred to kiss her.
It's the best commentary I've ever seen. It's just beautiful. It shows a loving relationship.
Oh, good.
Hold on
I'm doing
here.
what you told me to do.
Hold on here. Okay. And do you know the blessing for the Torah?
You know, I can do
Yes, you do. Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Hold on right here.
Yeah.
ביום השישי נשיא לבנגד אל יסף בן דאואל קורבנו כאן הכסף אחת 30 ו100 משקלה מזרק אחד כסף 70 שקל ושקל הקודש שניהם מלאים שולף לו בשמן למנחה. Touch again right there. And to your lips. Be very careful about not saying kiss. Second
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Demet L'chayei Olam Nata B'Toheinu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Now you may kiss the bride. It's all right.
Yay!
Okay, guys.
Step on the glass.
Right.
Give me your Hebrew names.
We have our water bottles.
Shoshana.
Shoshana
We have the glass.
David.
This is nice.
David. Yeah. ואנה לידי השנייה. Good. Touch right here.
It's a new show, Keeping Up with the Kaminskis.
It's a great tradition. I love it. Hold on right here.
Okay.
Do the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu El Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Kaf Achat Asar Zahav Menayah Ketoret Par Echad. Ben Bakar Hayel Echad K'mzerav Ben Shnato Le'olah. Shizim Echad Lechatat ולזבר השלמים. בקר שניים. אלים חמישה. תודים חמישה. כבשים בני שנה חמישה. זה קורבן אליסף בן דאואל. Touch right here, please. I know. And hold on. Let's say the second blessing. Do you have it?
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam v'atah b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Mazal tov. Did you make us cry again? Good. Okay, Ryan. Yamod Abraham Pesach Ben Shalom Ruben Ben Netanya Shlishi. Ryan, come on up. Okay, take your talit, please. Touch right there. Hold on with one hand. And
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Bayom HaShishi nasi lifnei Gad Eliasaf ben Deuel קורבנו ככסף אחת 30 משקלה מזרק אחד כסף 70 שקל בשקל הקודש שניהם מלאים סולת פלולה ושמן למנחה. Touch again right there please with your talit. Hold on. Say the second blessing.
Wait. Oh. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Give me a big hand, please. יעמוד הבחור הבר מצווה בנימין משה בן דוד ושושנה בן כמונה. Nice job, right? Touch right here with the talit. Hold on right here. This is your last opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to respond with energy to the call to prayer. Baruch Hu, nice and loud.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch
Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. כף אחת עשר הזהב מלאה כתורת פר אחד בן בקר הייל אחד כבזרע בן שנתו לעולה צילצים אחד לחטאת ולזבח השלמים בקר שניים אלים חמישה תודים חמישה כבשים בני שנה חמישה זה קורבן אליסף בן דאואל. Take your talit. Touch right there. Sure. I got it. Here.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emet V'chayei olav nata b'tochenu baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Now, before we continue, there's been a request for a prayer for those who are ill, and so I'm going to add that right now. And when I turn to you, anybody who has a name that they want to say will say it out loud, nice and clearly, so that everybody hears the names. Mishaberach Avoteinu Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. Lord of our fathers and our mothers, please send healing to all those whose names we mention now. Who has those names?
David Kobensky and Florence Kobensky.
Larry Rosenzweig.
Arlene Green. Alex Katz and Liz Sider Goldman.
Anybody else? הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם להחלימם ולרפאותם להחזיקם ולהחיותם ישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים לרמח אבריהם משסה גידיהם בתוך שאר חולי ישראל השתה בעגלה וזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. There also was a request for an El Malei Rachamim for someone who has passed away. Okay. Is this who is this?
For Minna.
I'll ask for her name in just a moment. El Malei Rachamim שוכן במרומים אמצי מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמת
מינה וייצנר.
מינה וייצנר?
כן.
שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה לכם ברחמים יסתירה בסתך וברי עולמים ויצרור בצור לחיים את נשמתה אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום ומשכבה ונאמר אמן. Okay, now who is going? Are you going to walk around with it now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, everybody remain standing. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado, vodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo, tehila lechol chasidav b'nei Yisrael, am kirovo, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, uvnucho yomah. עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש חדש ימינו חדש ימינו כקדם. I'm going to ask our four parents to take their books and turn to the parents' prayer on page 9. And for our two bar mitzvah guys, they are ammunition. Then we're all going to say Shechianu, and then we'll toss the candies. Okay? Who's leading?
Wait, shouldn't we unwrap them?
I am a Jew because
we say that at the same time.
Whatever you like. Want to do it together?
At the same time.
I am a Jew because the faith of Israel demands of me no denial of mine. I am a Jew because the faith of Israel requires me a devotion of my heart. I am a Jew because in every place where suffering weeps, the Jew weeps. I am a Jew because at every time when despair cries out, the Jew hopes. I am a Jew because the word of Israel is the oldest and newest. I am a Jew because the promise of Israel is the universal promise. I am a Jew because for Israel the world is not completed. Humanity is completing it. I am a Jew because for Israel, men and women are not created. They are continually creating themselves.
Now, we'll say the Shechianu, then toss the candies, then we'll do a little jig around the table, okay? So, all together, Shechianu. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shechianu,